We begin today with a story of courage, dreams, and the power of the nation. Thanks for joining us on this Monday on Spin Room. Good to have you here with us. I'm Vanessa Broussard. DJ Daniel is a young boy battling brain cancer. He has the heart of a hero, and he has a dream of becoming a police officer. Departments all across the country are stepping up to help make that dream come true. DJ Daniel and his father are joining us today to talk about the journey. So good to have DJ and Theotis. Thanks for being here with us in the Spin Room. How are you?
Good. Doing great.
Thanks for being here. Let's get started with the beginning. DJ, you were diagnosed. How long ago was that? And what was your feeling as a father when you were told?
You're talking to me, right?
Yes, that's fine.
Oh yeah. It was well, it was how can I say we were lost for words. We didn't know how this all was going to get to this point. We never knew that. I know when the White House reached out to us, we we honestly thought it was a call, and but much to our surprise, and that's not what it was. And I didn't even know the president. He wasn't going. I didn't know that he was going to honor him at the joint session. We thought we were just going to speech.
Yeah, and so, you know, that was a big moment. You've always wanted to be a police officer. We'll get to that here in a moment because we do have video for that that night that President Trump honored you. But let's talk to you, DJ. DJ, what do you love most about police work?
Well, it all started with the Hurricane Harvey when we was in at George R. Brown, and me and my brothers we figured out that we could skip the lines because. And then these three officers stopped us and brought us to our dad, and our dad asked we're in trouble, and they said no, it's just crazy because we see them running around and collecting stuff like chipmunks, and they couldn't get home to their children, and they asked if they could take us upstairs for pizza.
To get pizza. So that was nice of the officer. So they brought you to your dad and then brought you upstairs to get pizza.
Yes, ma'am.
And so from that moment on, you wanted to become a police officer.
Yes, ma'am, because they helped us and more people.
And so that's what you love. You know that police officers want to help people. When people call 911 or an emergency hotline, DJ, they want to have an officer respond immediately because that's what law enforcement does. They help people. So are you ready to take on that task?
Yes, ma'am.
So you went on this journey, getting sworn in at departments all across the country. How many are we at now? I know it's over 1,000.
It's over 3,100 now.
Wow, 3,100. You're busy. That's a lot of badges, DJ.
I'm not the one that's big. It's mostly my dad because he's the one doing all the hard work. Mainly when he be driving all the hours, me be sleep.
So you get to sleep while Dad's doing all the work. Dad, what is it like for you? You know, you're hit with this hard news. Brain cancer is a hard, or just cancer in general, is a hard pill to swallow when it comes to a diagnosis. But you see the country wrapping their arm around your son and being so welcoming of him. The prayers are pouring in, not just from all over the country, but all over the world. As a father, what goes through your mind? It has to touch your heart.
Well, it's very warming, and it's kind of like we scratch each other's back, you know. I know that we're just one of millions of families that's going through this, and there isn't a YouTube channel you can go to. Really gotta get a better understanding that you have to kind of weather it through. So, um, I decided to take this little situation, turn it something positive to help everyone out. So, when everybody started coming together, pretty good to single, but they're better in numbers. And so, a lot of great people in the world, and you'll see when it comes down to doing things, we can all come setting our differences aside. And we may not get everybody to set their differences aside. Um, I'm sure we'll probably go into that later, but the vast majority together and with each other a little bit at a time, because a lot of the nights, and like I said, I'm one of many parents that's going through this. we sit often in the rooms, and while the children are sleeping, they're sleeping sound and good, but we're up all night worrying and trying to figure out how can we fix the situation. And God and I had it out together, and I just told him, why don't you just give it to me and take me and let me suffer through this instead of my son. So, like I say, there's a message, a very strong message behind that. And so, as you can see, Devardi ended up turning out to be the first child that was on this experimental medicine and the only child upon approval through FDA. And so that was things that I had to make a hard decision on. And guess what? And it worked. So sometimes, we have to make those hard decisions. But like I say, we are great people. I mean, there's people everywhere that's wonderful. Now he gets to see it. So we go everywhere. Everybody stops us wherever he goes. He gets 3 million hugs. There's no bald head that's spared now. So he's leveled up and he does things. And we've donated food, money. I mean, you name it. We don't care if you don't talk to us no more. You can scream and cuss us, talk about us after we leave. But things, at least we helped you out. So that's all it's all about.
Absolutely, helping others. DJ, I think this is the first time I haven't seen you in uniform. We were talking about that before the show, but that's okay because we said some police officers have to take a day off from time to time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's talk about the most notable of them all. That was the night that President Trump gave a joint address to Congress. You were a special guest of the president, and he had a surprise for you. We have video of that. Let's play that clip, and then I'll get your reaction.
And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
That still brings tears to my eyes as it did the first night when I watched it live on TV. DJ, what was going through your mind at the time?
And no.
I think we're losing some reception there. DJ, I'm going to try to get you to say that one more time. There we go. What was going through your mind, if you want to tell us again?
I had no idea what was going on. And everybody knew the ahead of time. They just didn't want to tell me because they was keeping it as a surprise.
Well, it was a huge surprise, and it was a wonderful surprise. Theotis, you had the biggest smile on your face. What a night for you as well.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what, hey, look, all that suffering is well worth it just to see the smile and the energy that was in that building that night is totally, I mean, if you got, your feelings were kind of pulled that night. I mean, inside of there was, I mean, that energy, just hearing the chance of DJ, and you could just feel the energy, and it was intense, but it was great and it was awesome. And I just was sitting back telling myself, I'm looking at him like, I told you, didn't I? I told you. I knew not Trump was going to do it. They caught us off guard. I think they caught everybody. Even Jason caught Jason off guard too. But
yeah, immediately after,
that was an amazing moment. We'll never forget that. We became love that night. And
oh yes, but let's talk about the division. Theotis, I don't mean to cut you off. It's cutting in and out, so I thought you had stopped there. Immediately after DJ started trending online, America went crazy. You captured the heart of so many people, everyone that was watching that night. But on the flip side, the nation was also upset that the Democrats didn't even stand for you. And what is your message to them, DJ? I know you've talked about this before. At your young age, you noticed that this isn't a partisan issue. You're a little boy battling cancer. This isn't a Democrat issue or a Republican issue. This is a human issue. So what is your message for those rude Democrats who couldn't stand up? I think we lost them there. They are traveling. DJ's very busy, and so they're freezing up in their signal. We're going to try to bring them back on when we can here on Lindell TV. He is such a hero to so many. A little boy with cancer, brave, a fighter. Everyone should stand when he enters the room. Again, no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, put all the politics aside. It doesn't matter. When a little boy with cancer walks into the room and is honored, you stand up. And DJ, it's unfortunate we lost him, but he said before, if you can't stand up, then you need to get out. And that is the absolute truth. We all feel the same. And there are so many children, as Theodis, the father, just mentioned, battling cancer. He tells them all to remain strong and to keep fighting. I think we have them again. We're going to try to bring them on just to wrap up real quick. Theodis, I know we're losing you because of the reception is bad where you are. I want to get one message in, DJ, for those rude Democrats who wouldn't even stand for you.
If you ain't got nothing nice, shut your mouth.
That's what I say. If you don't have anything nice to say, shut your mouth. That's a good one, DJ. Absolutely. One more message because I know that y'all have a lot of things going on. A message for kids your age who are battling cancer. I know you're from Houston. Texas Children's just right there in the heart of the medical district. People from all over the country fly in hoping that they can save their children battling cancer. What is your message to them, DJ?
Hi. I'm like near the stage.
Okay, I'm not sure if we can get them. We are cutting
We're
out
about
again,
to
but that's
film,
okay.
so-
We're praying for
Believe in
DJ,
God.
the entire nation, and the world, and we will continue to follow his
I'm
journey. Pray
next
for
to
him
like
always,
all the different
and then
tents.
also,
Yeah.
keep you updated on his progress. I know that there were
I'm
some
not-
talks about
I'm
new
not at
tumors
the
that
stage.
have
I'm near the
arisen,
tents,
in
where everybody's
Fort Hound
walking
a couple
near
months
the
ago.
tents.
That is not the
Food-
case.
the food
But
area.
he is doing well, and we are going to continue to praise the good Lord that he's here with us today, and he's going to be here with us for a very long time.
Yep.
When we come back, a Texas sides showdown, the state
There you go.
voting on a redistricting map that would give Republicans more seats. But the Dems, they fled the state, and Governor Greg Abbott issues a stern warning. That's next. And as we go to break, a beautiful video of the rocky coast of Maine. Look how pretty it is there as a sailboat passes.
Looks like the lighting's really
a
off.
beautiful day there. We'll be right back.
The sun is coming like from over there.
Office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever, and in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential
Tell-
gold guide
tell
from Fisher
DJ I'm
Liberty
proud of him
will
and I'll
tell
be
you
in contact.
exactly why you need to own gold,
Thank you.
even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts, and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver.
All right, we just wrapped up with little DJ Daniel. He is a strong warrior, and we're going to have him back here on Lindell TV very soon. Just spoke to his dad. They're traveling all over the country. As you heard, they have over 3,000 departments who have given him a badge, and so they're on the road and we're getting bad service. So we'll have them back on the show very soon. Love to chat with DJ. Taking a quick look at the stock market as it closed out the day. It was a wonderful day for the Dow, up 585 points, S&P 500 up 91, and the NASDAQ closed out the day just over 400 points. Love to see all the green, and that's how we're starting our week. Happening right now in Washington, D.C., the USDA Farmers Market, a big event at the National Mall. Our Allison Steinberg is there live. Allison, good to see you. What can you tell us about the event?
Hey, Vanessa, great to see you. Yes, it's a very exciting day here in the swamp as there is the farmers market going on behind us. This is a really big, exciting event. They're calling it the Great American Farmers Market 2025. This is really an event that the current Secretary of Agriculture and Health and Human Services Department are working together to bring local farmers, bring local growers and people who are really instrumental in the community into DC to sell their products so that we can start moving away from toxic, poison, chemical, cancerous food. As we know, this issue has really taken over America. So many people dependent on, these overly processed foods to supplement their diet. And the current administration is really trying to put an end to this. So that's why they're working together to put on this farmers market that's actually taking place all week. It started yesterday, Sunday, and is going all the way through Friday. And it really is a move to try to make America healthy again. It's really great to see. I actually just came from a press conference that Secretary Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, and Secretary Kennedy and others hosted as they have announced that SNAP benefits, which, are food stamps for low-income families, will now no longer be able to really purchase these sugary, high-processed foods that are the #1 seller amongst SNAP recipients currently. They're really trying to make some serious changes here and cure America of this horrible obesity epidemic by making healthy, whole, nutritious foods available to people on the SNAP program. So they're really doing everything they can to try to push towards healthy foods that are available to low-income families that are receiving SNAP benefits. I think this is a really important step to making America healthy again, and is going to be a great step in the right direction to cure the country of the obesity epidemic and the diabetes epidemic, which we know, unfortunately, has skyrocketed in the last couple of years. So, again, very exciting day, bringing local farmers and retailers together here on the National Mall to try to make America healthy again.
Absolutely. And Allison, it's so good to see. We're looking at the Great American Farmers Market 2025 on the USDA website right now. There's this push for people to just start eating healthy, and people are really starting to wake up to this. What does the crowd look like today? Are you seeing a good turnout?
Yeah, there's actually a really nice turnout here. This just started, so it's sort of just getting kicked off here. But yeah, there's a lot of great people walking around. I don't know if they are necessarily here in an effort to make America healthy again, or if they're just happen to be passing by. But we have heard, and this was made very clear in the press conference today that so many people are supportive of the MAHA movement, regardless of whether you're on the left or the right or somewhere in the middle. This is a nonpartisan issue. So many people are so excited about making America healthy again and really getting this crap, poisonous, toxic chemicals that have been riddled throughout the entire food supply gone for good. We know the current administration is working hard to make that happen. Just recently, Secretary Kennedy announced the banning of food dyes in the food supply and food that's available to children in schools. The food dyes have been removed completely now. We are working towards ending these processed foods that are easily available to so many consumers and really making the move towards whole, nutritious, real foods, which this is a great step in the right direction. This is how we get people, aware of what their options are. This is how we bring farmers into the city and make people aware of the fact that they have more options. They don't just have to shop in these big box grocery stores. They can support local farmers, and the benefits are massive. Then you actually get foods that are good for you, and you're not poisoning yourself. So I think it's a great trade-off here, and I think it's a perfect step in the right direction to starting to make America healthy again. I think people are very excited about this, and the turnout is great, as I said. So I think it's all good, Vanessa.
I love it. Love to see it. Love to see people getting involved. Love to see that people are becoming aware, and always fresh food, like what we can grow in our own backyard, what these farmers are providing for us. Is just something that we really need to take in. Allison, I was told a long time ago by a doctor that when you go into the grocery store to shop the outside of the grocery store, when you start going down the aisles, that's when you start getting to the food that have these dyes and these sugars. But if you stay on the outside, if you think about it, that's the produce and the milk and the yogurt. That's where the healthier food is. And so that always crosses my mind still to this day when I go to the grocery store, that your healthier food is going to be on the outskirts of a store. One last question for you. Any unique vendors that you're seeing out there?
Yeah, there's actually a great vendor over here. I was hoping we could get him. Dylan, if you could reel him in for us. Our cameraman's going to go grab him. There is a milk vendor right here that I was just talking to. I'm a big raw milk advocate, and this is an issue that is near and dear to my heart because where I'm from in California, you can buy raw milk, which is basically just unpasteurized milk, in the grocery store in California. But for some reason, you cannot buy raw milk in at least 20 states, and in many others, you have to participate in a herd share in order to gain access to raw milk. Again, this is just unpasteurized milk straight out of the cow's udder. It's the most whole, nutrient-dense milk you can possibly consume, one of the most whole, nutrient-dense foods you could possibly consume. And so it's really a shame that this raw milk is outlawed in at least 20, if not more states. So I was talking to this great gentleman here. He does not sell raw milk currently because of these restrictions, but he has a lot of really interesting information to share. And here he is. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You want me right
You can
here?
stand right here.
Yep.
All right. You remind us of your name again.
Paul Horning.
Paul with 97milk.com. All right, Paul. So tell us what we need to know about the milk. I was just explaining that raw milk is illegal in most states, actually. You and I were talking about that earlier. Why do you think that is?
It's all about money.
Yeah.
They kind of control the milk industry, and they claim it needs to be pasteurized, and that's so they can make a lot of money on the milk.
Yeah.
But us as dairy farmers, a lot of us sell to the neighbors raw milk, and it's twice as healthy for you.
Twice as healthy. That's right. Because when you pasteurize it, which is what the only thing you can get in the grocery store, it depletes the milk of the incredible nutrients that it has, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it's like they intentionally want people to be sick and unhealthy.
Yeah. I mean, I drank it all my life, and I'm very healthy.
Never had a problem?
Never had a problem.
Well, they try to say raw milk will kill you. All these anti-raw milk people will tell you that it's like, deadly and you're going to die.
Well, all the animals that drink raw milk from their mothers don't die.
Yeah, that's right. And that's how a baby is brought up to be strong and able to fend for itself, as it's,
Yes.
consumes milk for its entire life.
I drank raw milk as a baby after I was done nursing on my mother. So,
That's amazing.
yes.
And for those watching, I used to be, or I thought I was lactose intolerant my whole life. I stayed away from milk. In fact, I consumed horrible milk alternatives like almond milk and soy, which is disgusting. It's all chemicals.
Yeah.
And then I learned about raw milk and the amazing health benefits, and I forced myself to drink it. Not only did I not have any reaction, I felt better than I've ever felt in my entire life, and I love the taste. It tastes incredible.
Well, no wonder Trump's so healthy, because he drinks grass-fed raw milk.
Does he?
He gets it in Florida and also in New York. He has a place to get it.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing. I did not know that. You're teaching us something new here. So I know when we were talking earlier, I asked you, what do you think the current administration is doing to legalize raw milk so that this can be easily accessible in all 50 states? You said you guys are kind of in talks with Secretary Rollins. Is that correct?
oh yes, we've been working with her, but we've been working with G.T. Thompson for the last 15 years trying to get whole milk back into the schools,
Wow.
because Michelle is the one that took it out.
Oh.
She didn't need a whole lot of legislation to do that.
Really?
And now we've been working for 15 years to get it back in. So now it's laying on Chuck Schumer's desk, and all what he has to do is move it, and it'll be through.
So you're telling us this very critical decision is up to Chuck Schumer.
Yes, it's up to Chuck Schumer right now.
This is the worst news I've heard all day.
Well, and if the states want to provide whole milk for their students, then they won't get the federal funding for the schools.
Wow.
That's how they
Can you
control
give
them.
Allison a
That is
wrap?
incredible.
Can you give
So-
Allison a wrap?
It's so sad how they've managed to manipulate the situation, but I'm grateful for great farmers like yourself who are working hard to spread the truth and try to
Yeah.
overrun this red tape.
Yes, and they can go to 97milk.com, and that gives them all the information on whole milk, raw milk,
Amazing.
so, and a lot of recipes on there
Oh, wonderful.
using milk. So
Well, I'm so glad I ran into you. Thank you for all that you do, and keep up the great work.
I would do so.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Alrighty, there you have it, 97milk.com. Everyone go check it out. You heard it straight from the farmer. Raw milk is not the enemy. Pasteurized milk is actually the dangerous milk. So we need to continue working to spread the word and get raw milk legalized in all 50 states. Vanessa.
All right. I'm glad you're on it, Allison. Thanks so much for that report. Have a good time out there. Let me know if you see anything interesting that I may need to order.
I sure will. Absolutely.
Well, lowering drug prices, the goal of President Trump. The president has sent letters to 17 of the leading pharmaceutical companies outlining steps to lower prescription prices for Americans. In the letter, it's an effort to match the lowest prices offered in other nations. Here's more from the president.
100%, but not just 50% or 25%, which normally would be a lot, because the rest of the world pays much less for the identical drug. And we're going to be paying the same thing. We're going to have a favored nation. We will pay as low as the lowest nation in the world.
President Trump is warning the companies that if they refuse to step up, he will deploy every tool he has to protect American families from what he calls abusive drug pricing practices. Now to our Maha Mom segment for today. Great news for Maha Moms. RFK Jr. is protecting our babies by getting rid of the poison that's found in vaccines. We've all been hoping for this. Mercury is causing delays in speech and so much other things for our children. Mothers across the country are screaming out, hoping someone will listen, hoping for a change. Well, that time has come. Here's RFK Jr. with more.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. I'm happy to report that last week we closed the final chapter in the long history of thimerosal in the United States. Thimerosal, of course, is a mercury-based vaccine preservative. Its main component, ethylmercury, is a known and very potent neurotoxin. Until we withdrew the recommendation last week, flu shots containing thimerosal, astonishingly, were still being administered to millions of Americans, including pregnant women and children. Now, I've taken a lot of flack from the vaccine industry and from its allies in the press about my decision to ban it. So I want to talk a little bit about my reasons. In early 2001, the director of the FDA Office of Vaccine Research and Review late William Egan admitted under oath before Congress that thimerosol's safety had never been studied in human beings. Further, CDC has no existing guidelines for safe exposures to ethylmercury. It's therefore inexcusable that these agencies allowed neurotoxic mercury to be injected into Americans for so long. A quick search of the National Library of Medicine's PubMed and PubChem websites nets thousands of studies on search terms such as mercury neurotoxicity, mercury in development, and mercury in the brain. Hundreds of them identify thimerosal as a potent neurotoxin, a carcinogen, a mutagen, and an endocrine disruptor. But let's put all that peer-reviewed science aside and just look at what the government itself and the vaccine industry say about thimerosal. Thimerosol's own label advises against its use during pregnancy, pointing out that thimerosal has never been shown to be safe and that it causes mutations in mammals. Thimerosol's material safety data sheet acknowledges that thimerosal is toxic, that it has nervous system and reproductive effects, that it's mutagenic in mammalian cells, that exposure to mercury and thimerosal in utero and in children could cause mild to severe mental retardation and mild to severe motor coordination impairment. The MSDS also lists a grim inventory of dozens of other devastating injuries from thimerosal exposure. In 2001, the National Institute for Environmental Health Sciences warned that thimerosal is toxic by ingestion and inhalation. The California EPA recognizes thimerosal as a reproductive toxin in the clearest possible language. Thimerosal, it says, disassociates in the body to ethylmercury. The evidence for its reproductive toxicity includes severe mental retardation or malformations in human offspring who were poisoned when their mothers were exposed to ethylmercury or received thimerosal vaccines while pregnant. Studies in animals demonstrate that developmental toxicity after exposure to either ethylmercury or thimerosal. The U.S. EPA also identifies mercury and mercury compounds as causing reproductive toxicity. The amount of ethylmercury in the flu shot that CDC just banned under my order is 25,000 times the EPA's safety level for drinking water. Federal and state laws provide that whenever expired thimerosal vaccines are disposed of, they constitute hazardous waste. They have to be disposed of in special landfills. I have to ask again, why were we injecting this toxin into babies and pregnant women? A year 2000 study by the National Research Council found that prenatal and infant mercury exposures cause multiple impacts to basic brain development by disrupting the division and the migration of neuronal cells. According to the National Toxicity Program, ethylmercury is a neurotoxin. Infants may be more susceptible than adults. Ethylmercury exposure from vaccines probably caused neurotoxic responses in some children. A 2005 NIH study commissioned by FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research and performed by the National Toxicity Program found that ethylmercury in thimerosal crosses the blood-brain barrier, lodges in the brain, and metabolizes into the most toxic form of mercury at double the rate of the heavily regulated methylmercury in fish. A subsequent study found that this highly toxic mercury remains in the brain for over 27 years. A 2017 study by CDC links miscarriage to flu vaccines and found that the odds of having a miscarriage within 28 days were 7.7 times greater than in women who did not receive a flu shot during pregnancy. Another study published that same year in the Journal of the American Medical Association found an elevated risk of autism spectrum disorders in children whose mothers had received a first trimester flu shot. Instead of immediately withdrawing thimerosal from flu shots to protect women and their babies, CDC issued a gag order instructing its personnel not to discuss that study. On October 1st, 2001, the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences issued a report concluding that the link between thimerosal and the rise of neurological injuries in American children, including autism, is, quote, biologically plausible, end quote. And they recommended the termination of all thimerosal preserved vaccines. Regulators should never have allowed mercury in any vaccine, especially those given to children. They had the science, but they chose to ignore it. For 20 years, I've been battling to get mercury out of vaccines. Instead of following the science, CDC and its allies in the industry and the pharma-funded media have marginalized, vilified, and censored parents, doctors, and scientists who question the wisdom of using mercury in vaccines by calling them by the pejorative anti-vaxxer. I've been trying to get mercury out of fish for 40 years, and nobody called me anti-fish. That's the pattern we've seen for too long. Companies protect profits by suppressing the science, and regulators lie to the public and look the other way. But this pattern ends now under President Trump's new HHS. I'm happy to announce that my newly appointed CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices voted in June to recommend a full ban on mercury-containing preservatives in all vaccines, including flu shots. I formally approved that recommendation last week. The decision breaks decades of paralysis, and it fulfills the 1999 promise by the National Academy of Sciences. And it finally aligns U.S. vaccine policy with that of developed countries that removed mercury additives decades ago. Let me be clear, flu vaccines will remain available. Manufacturers have confirmed that they can shift from mercury-preserved multi-dose vials to single-dose applications, and this change ensures the uninterrupted supply for both the Vaccines for Children program and adult vaccination efforts. Now that the U.S. has removed mercury from all vaccines, we urge global health authorities to follow suit for the protection of children around the world. We urge the World Health Organization and Gavi to stop their programs of injecting mercury into more than 100 million Black and brown babies in developing countries annually. This moment marks a major step toward restoring public trust in the safety of our medicines. This decision sends a clear message. The days of ignoring the science are over. The days of putting profits ahead of people are over. We are remaking FDA and CDC under President Trump's leadership, your FDA and your CDC, into the vigilant public watchdogs that they were always meant to be. Thank you.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Praise God. Finally, we are all shouting from the rooftops today. I know what he said was long, but it needed to be said. Did you hear every word RFK Jr. just mentioned about how awful these vaccines are and how we didn't have a voice? And if you had a voice, you were shut down. But not anymore. Our babies deserve better, and we're finally making headway in our fight to have healthier vaccines. So mama bears out there and dads too, continue the good fight, because they're listening now, RFK Jr., President Trump, and they are trying to save our children. All right, now to a fun one. It's a Texas showdown happening right now. A Texas two-step where Republicans are swinging the Democrats right out of the state. It has to do with the state wanting to redistrict its House map. Now, if approved, the GOP would pick up 5 seats, eliminating Democrat seats. Oh, and they're mad. They're big mad. So mad that the Democrats threw a tantrum and they flew off to Chicago. Perfect place for them. The woke love the woke. So maybe they just wanted a good pizza because they're tired of good Texas barbecue. I don't know. But because the Dems fled, the state doesn't have enough people in a quorum to vote, which should be happening right now. But instead, this just in, I'm going to read it straight from my phone. The Texas House has just locked the chamber doors. Again, this is happening right now. And they have approved arrest warrants for those Democrats. So they have approved arrest warrants for those Democrats who have fled the state. Governor Greg Abbott isn't playing around. He says, don't mess with Texas. And he sent out this letter to them. It's very lengthy, so I'll just say what it says in part. House Democrats will face consequences if they're not at today's vote. including the potential loss of their seats and felony violations. Well, the Democrats, they mocked back, saying this. Look at the bottom of your screen. Come and take it. That's a play on words used by Second Amendment advocates who dared prior administrations to come and take their guns. You know, we are in Texas here. This is a state we're talking about. And they love their guns. They love the Second Amendment. So the Democrats are mocking them, saying, come and take it. Well, the House just said that we will. They have issued an approval for arrest warrants. Well, you know, everything is bigger in Texas, including the fight over redistricting. Oh, and by the way, if the new map is approved, little Miss Jasmine Crockett, she would lose her seat, and we can all sing hallelujah when that happens. So we'll keep you posted online as the debate gets hotter than the Texas summer. And speaking of debate, let's bring in our next guest, Christopher Baum with Vote Right. Christopher, so good to have you on here today. I know you've been waiting a while. Thanks for waiting here with us.
You're worth waiting for, Vanessa.
Thank you so much. So let's talk about the company that you're with, the organization that you're with. And I was reading the website, and this is a place where you can go vote on machines, and you're telling us that they're very secure. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, our technology is not, first of all, it's not on the market yet. We're bringing it soon, but it's not there yet. It is different than most of the voting systems available for a number of reasons. The first is they are not connected to a network. Each system stands alone and is air-gapped completely from the internet, other networking systems. In order to function it, you have to bring in a secure chain of custody a computer key that programs the system with the ballots that have been already tested and approved. So that's how the blank ballots get into the computer. When it is set up for the voter to use, that needs to be unlocked twice at the voting system. And then the voter votes in secret. And they can do it in a number of different ways. They can just choose it as it's presented on the screen. They can listen to it audibly. It can be presented in any of the languages that are approved in that jurisdiction. If the jurisdiction allows and it's set up to do that, the system has a 2-hour battery backup, so it can actually be placed on a table and wheeled out to the parking lot for someone who can't otherwise access the voting system. So you can still vote at the voting site without having to vote by mail, for example, and still vote on the machine, being included with every other voter. Lots of different ways to vote on the system, all securely. Now, what it does is record the vote separately in 3 different ways that are tied together by a unique but random number. So I can take each voter's record that is triple redundantly stored, and it is encrypted, but they tie together to each other, but not to the voter. So I can take a look at that same voting record in 3 different ways and verify the contents. At the end of the day, it prints out a receipt that covers all of the tabulated ballots on that system, also produces it electronically that then has to be hand transported, again, maintaining a clear chain of custody to the election center where they are collected and put together to achieve the final votes. So each system is standalone, programmed independently, verified independently, but each one can be verified separately. It is inclusive in the people who do not have typical access to the voting technologies. There are no pre-printed ballots that have to be used. So every ballot is the same for that jurisdiction. It is unlocked per voter, and they can vote securely and collect it at the end of the day and then processed.
Christopher, I appreciate what you're doing for secure elections. You've brought it up several times about this new system that's not on the market yet. 100% secure? Can hackers not get into this at all? Because that's the problem that we're seeing in past elections.
Well, what they would have to do to get into it is break the redundancy, get physical access to each system individually, and then break the decryption and bypass the security methods to get in, and then also defeat the physical access to it. So,
yeah.
Tom Cruise, maybe, but probably not.
Well, as you know, we here at Lindell TV want to burn down the voting machines, turn them into prison bars, and turn to paper ballots. But at Vote Right, you believe you have a way to secure voting machines. You just explained how so. I asked if you're 100% sure the machines can't be tampered with, hackers can't get in. That is the key, Christopher, is that these machines are so vulnerable. And you know,
well,
and I'm not talking about yours because I'm just learning about this one today, and I'm glad to have you on. But you know, you look at Tulsi Gabbard, who just told President Trump a couple of months ago, we have evidence of how vulnerable these machines are. It's just like any computer. I have my laptop here. People can hack into your systems. We just want to be 100% sure. And when I say we, I think I'm speaking on behalf of American voters, and I think, Christopher, you can agree. We want secure elections.
Absolutely. And what we are dedicated to is making sure that every voter's vote counts and counts exactly one time.
Right.
That's what we are dedicating ourselves to. Now, let's talk about the ability to hack paper ballot elections, because there have been some pretty famous, the whole reason why voting systems were adopted in the first place is to prevent the manipulation of election results. So we'll go back to Texas in 1948, Jim Wells County. You familiar with that?
I do. I'm very familiar with Texas. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm talking about Jim Wells County in particular.
Yes.
And by the way, my older son was born in Texas. I lived there for 12 years. So, but in 1948, at that point, Texas was completely Democratic. The terms red and blue hadn't been invented yet. And basically, if you won the primary, you would become the office holder for that particular office. Well, there were two groups in the county back in those days, in Jim Wells County. And there were the old diehards. There was a senator who was a sitting senator, and then there were the upstarts. And this particular upstart was running in the primary and came in second. And he came in second because there was the sitting senator, and then there was another old-time established politician who had some disagreements with the sitting senator. So he ran as a dark horse and siphoned off just enough votes to send the new guy and the old guy into a runoff election for the primary. So what happened was this young candidate sat down with one of the election supervisors and said, I need 200 votes. Now, this story is actually coming from the administrator who admitted it long after everybody else died. But he said, we need 200 votes. So what they did was they went back to the voting records, picked 200 people who hadn't voted, and they listed them in the voters log alphabetically. All right, they picked 200 people, went through the voter list, they hadn't voted, and then they voted for them and put it into ballot box number 13. This is called the box 13 scandal. And sure enough, that candidate won. That candidate's name was Lyndon Baines Johnson. That's when he became a senator.
Yes.
That's when he became a senator. When you manipulate paper ballots, it's not typically during the counting phase. You manipulate them in the ballot proofing phase, where they determine if a ballot is valid or not. There are things that a ballot has to have. First of all, it has to clearly indicate the voter's intent. So the voter has to clearly mark which candidate they want, which means if they scratch out a candidate because they change their mind and they don't want to walk all the way back to get a different ballot, that particular race might be invalidated, and in fact, it might invalidate the entire ballot. Now, there were a number of discussions in Texas and throughout the country over mail-in ballots, whether or not they were clearly indicated the voter's intent or whether or not they were valid ballots because they may not have been received by a certain date or they may not have had a signature on the outside. So they did not conform to the paper ballot standards in place. The other thing that is important on a paper ballot is that it excludes any identifying marks. It needs to show the voter's intent and nothing else. So
well,
if you were to...
with President Trump's new executive order, they would have that type of information on there, correct?
Well, what the president's current executive order stipulates is that they have to be received by Election Day and that it has to be signed on the outside by a witness other than the voter.
Right.
That's the current standard. So if you live alone and vote by mail, there may be an issue.
Well, we'll just invite Aunt Susie over to come watch for us. But I would hope, Christopher, that our ballot system is a lot better than it was in the 1940s with Lyndon B. Johnson, just like our technology should be a lot better than what it was way back. We didn't have this type of technology back then. And Christopher, I would love to continue this conversation with you. I know we only had about 7 minutes. But you know what? It's great to have disagreements, because we were talking before the show. We can agree to disagree and still be friends, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. And we all want secure elections. You want them on machines. I want them on paper ballots. But hey, as long as our elections are secure.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to extend an offer to me to come back sometime, I will, and we'll talk real numbers. Okay?
Yes, and you told me that you could talk for an entire hour, so I'll hold you to it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
We've been showing your website as well while you've been talking. So if people want to go read about it, there's information. Everyone, I encourage that here in America. Everyone be open to your own ideas. Go read up on it. I read up on it.
Absolutely.
I read all of your different tabs last night. I was going through your website. So always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. And we'll be right back. We're going to be talking about President Trump and a new fancy feast that will be happening at the White House. A new ballroom proposed, a golden ballroom. We'll show you next.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of health care in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell, promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
Glitz, glamour, and a touch of President Trump's creative side. The president is in the process of designing a ballroom for the White House, and it is expected to be gold. Of course, the press secretary announcing the construction of a new 90,000 square foot ballroom with construction to begin in September, so just next month. Be on the lookout for all of the beautiful pictures for when construction begins. And as always, we pray during this hour every single day. So here's today's verse of the day from the book of Psalms. This is the day from Proverbs, that is. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding, he says. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make your paths straight. And that is the truth coming from Proverbs. And that'll do it for us here today. Thank you so much for joining us here on Spin Room. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Steve Bannon's War Room is next, and you're watching Lindell TV.